I watched your video on YouTube of your song Constant.
Mm-hmm.
I know the story, but as I watched it, it just brought tears to my eyes. It's about a 15-year-old girl, and tell me about her.
Yeah, so my mom at 15 was assaulted walking home from the pool one day. Didn't remember it. Months went on. My grandma was chasing around 4 other kids, and she always said, "Your mom was my good kid," and she said, "I completely missed it." And I remember as a young kid, I'm sure I was asking at the time, like, well, hey, how come I don't have a dad? I don't really know how all it happened, but I remember my grandma setting me down and telling me what happened. And I'm sure I didn't understand the situation at the time, but I remember trying to process, like, well, how do you not remember something so traumatic? And I've had plenty of people tell me that when something traumatic like that happens, your mind can block it out. And so my mom just didn't remember it. And months went on, she was gaining weight. She would tell you she was very naive for 15. She didn't understand anything about babies. And she told my grandma one day, "I'm sick, I need to go to the doctor." And my grandma said, well, she's gained weight. She had noticed that. She said, let's take her to the doctor and see what the doctor says. And so they did. And the doctor came out and said, well, she's pregnant. And after the initial shock wore off, the best way I know to explain it to people is I had a praying mama who said, we're going to go to church and we're going to pray. And that's what they did. And if you were to have heard her tell the story, she made it sound so simple. But I understand that it couldn't have been that easy. But I always tell people my grandma very much understood how big God is. And she believed that he is so big that he was not surprised by me. And these things that we read in the Bible, that he formed me in my mother's womb, that he had plans for me, she believed it with all of her heart. And so for her and her 15-year-old daughter, they had some choices that they had to make. And I always just tell people, I'm just thankful they chose life. And so...
How far along was she?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, actually. I think it was several months. I mean, I was kicking. That's what scared her, because she didn't know what was happening. You can imagine. I mean, it sounds like a funny, scary movie out of the 80s, but the next thing was adoption was the plan. I mean, that's kind of where it went from there. And then when my mom heard my heartbeat, she said, no, I want to keep this baby. And I always tell people I know that my 15-year-old mama had no idea what she was getting into. But my grandma did, and she said, okay, if that's what you want to do, that's what we're going to do. And so my mom had me turn 16 a couple months later, so she is 16 years older than I am, and went on about life as normal as life could be. And I tell people that they made it clear to me at a young age that, you know what, you don't have a dad, we don't even know who it is, but you have a heavenly Father who loves you more than you'll ever know.